Hi boys and girls, welcome back to your second reading video of the week. Today we're going to be taking a look at both the glossary and the index, which are actually found on the same page in your leveled readers. But in most books that's not going to be the case, because in most books you're going to have a larger glossary and an index. So they're usually separate. Let's first take a look at the glossary. We have talked about the glossary in class many times this year. But just as a review, notice that the words go in alphabetical order, and that's so you can find them quickly. Just imagine if they didn't go in alphabetical order and you wanted to find telescope. On this page, it would be easy because you only have 5 words, but imagine if you had 100 words in your glossary and they didn't go in alphabetical order. You'd have to search and search and search. What does the glossary provide us? So hopefully you were noticing some things like, first of all, the way to say the word. Astronomer. 4 syllables, and this is how the word sounds. It also provides us with a definition. A person who studies the stars and planets. And then it also gives us the page number. So you could find that word on page 5. Also, hopefully you noticed in your leveled reader that when you got to bold print words, those were the same words that were in your glossary. So if you were to flip back through this leveled reader, you would find astronomer on page 5 in the same bold print. When you're reading a book, if you find a word in bold, that usually means that it's defined and the way to pronounce it is given in the glossary. Notice here there are 5 words. Something also a little bit different than this one than in a lot of glossaries is a lot of times they'll just say planet. They won't add the S to it because they don't want to have to list planet, give a definition, planets, give another definition. Just like orbit. Notice they went with the root word. They didn't use the word orbiting, because then you would just have so many multiple words. Look at revolve. It could be revolve, revolves, revolving, revolution. So they tend to stick with the root word. In this case, though, they did leave the S on there because in the story, it was revolves as opposed to just revolve. All right, now let's pop over to the index. I'm not sure. I don't think we've talked about the index in class. If we have, it was probably only once or twice. So let's do a good look at the index here. First of all, notice it does go in ABC order, and it's always at the back of the book. Both of these are always at the back of the book compared to the table of contents, which is at the front of the book. The index stays in alphabetical order for the exact same reason as the glossary. Now, what makes the index different from the glossary is it doesn't give you a definition. It doesn't show you how to pronounce the word. All it does is tell you what page it's on. So, for example, if I wanted to look up telescopes, if I wanted to just look in this book for information on telescopes, like maybe I was assigned a project to explain about telescopes, instead of looking all the pages through from 1 to 22 that are in this leveled reader, I would know I could flip to page 2, 5, and 9. And on those 3 pages, telescopes will be mentioned. Notice Titan. I would challenge you, once we're done today, to look up Titan and what it has to do with Saturn. I'm not going to tell you. If you do look it up and find it out, feel free to either email me, because now you know how to use email, or put it in the stream. I'd be curious what you find out about Titan. But notice what page it's on. 6, and then it says 8-11. So it must be a pretty important word in this section of text, because it's saying you can find it on page 6, page 8, 9, 10, and 11. When you see a dash, it means you'll find it first on this page and then last on this page. So moons. How many pages will you actually find moons discussed in this book on Saturn? Count them up, and then I'll tell you how many you should have come up with. Okay? 7. 7 pages. You have page 4, number 1. 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, and 12. All right, last one we'll take a look at is Hyperion. I had to look this up to find the pronunciation of it. It is a long Y and a long E, or a long I. Notice it's on page 11. So I would suggest it must have something to do possibly with moons or with Titan, because that's also on page 11. So sometimes you can look at an index and see how words relate. But most often what you will use the index for is if you're doing a big report writing and you're using a book, or maybe sometimes in math I'll turn to the table of or the index in the back of our math book to see if I can find problems from area on other pages besides just the page we're doing for that day. I also use it in science quite a bit. Like if we wanted to look up mammals and just read the pages out of our science book on mammals, then I'll turn to the index as opposed to flipping through every page. Remember, our science books are pretty thick, flipping through every page. So index come in quite handy to find particular topics. That's what those are used for. All right, you are going to have 2 slides to do. One about a glossary from African cats and one about index from African cats. So good luck, work hard, and keep at it. You got this.